I've given it some thought. I do have a resolution for this year. My resolution is that I am going to the fucking moon, god damn it. Oh, 3. So I have one more bad one after that. Now, I want to check something with you. Do you perceive the significance of this scarf? And then, do you remember where you saw it before? Because this is a test of who's old in the room. Exactly. It is a quarter-scale reproduction of Tom Baker's scarf from Doctor Who, the 4th Doctor. It's just important to know. Because really, as I said, I've already dropped my critical words, perception and memory. Perception and memory is all we have in this world, as we have our perception of the world, and then in fact, we really only have our memory. When you think about it, you don't perceive things when they're happening. You perceive them, I am popping, that's good. You perceive them a moment later, an instant, a tenth of a second, a minute, 15 years later is when you really perceive the world that's around you. Anyone who studies evidence of eyewitnesses can tell you that eyewitness evidence is terrible. We make up our memories as we go along. We try to remember what happened as truthfully as we can, but we can't help but color it to be the memory we wanted things to be, or sometimes the memory that we're afraid that everyone else saw at the same time, depending on whether you hate yourself or not. I kind of hate myself a lot of the time, so hey, that's me. But it's that perception of what's going on, and then your memory of it is what shapes you as a person and what you do in the world. A number of years ago now, in fact, 1999, summer, my stepbrother was getting married. He met a wonderful young woman. They had met a couple years earlier in a training program for biology teachers to learn about ocean biology. And so they met in Maine on a boat. They got to know each other. I don't know any details beyond that. But a couple years later, they were getting married. And so they were getting married, not exactly where they met. It wasn't on the boat, but in Kittery, Maine. We went up there. We had a lovely time. It was a beautiful summer day when they got married. Warm. It was warm, even though it was Maine. It was nice. We also went over to New Hampshire, where her family is from, and it wasn't warm there. It was absolutely boiling in that church, but they'd been going there for at least a century, so we had to go. And that evening, there was a wedding reception. There are always receptions at weddings. We went to a wedding reception. Now, because this was in a seaside town, we had seafood. The thing is, there's a lot of seafood I don't like. So I was eating other stuff anyway. But other than that, it was a good time. I actually don't remember where you were sitting, dear, but I was sitting here. I had my sister was across the table from me, and we've always had a witty repartee thing going. There were a couple of people around who I'd never met before, friends of Eric's and or Catherine's, I don't know. And we were just having a great time, and man, I was hot. I was on the witty. The banter was going, and it was good. I mean, I ruled. It was really going well. Now, the fact is, when you're having your seafood and you're drinking your beer and you're having a good time comes and you got to go get rid of that beer. You can only rent it. You can't own it. And off I went. I got rid of my beer and I came back, and it was a break in the conversation. Things were really going as well before, but it was nice enough. It was really a lovely time. A couple of weeks later, and right here is an example of how memory is not trustworthy. For instance, I did not actually remember that this was 1999. I had to ask Eric earlier today. And I don't remember if the conversation I had with my sister a couple weeks later, it was a couple weeks later. That part I think I recall correctly. But I don't remember if it was on the telephone or if it was by email. I was talking, she said, when you went away from the table, everybody turned and looked at me and they said, "Is your brother always such an asshole?" You get defensive when people say things like that. 'Cause Nobody said anything like that to me. Well, they wouldn't, would they? And I thought I was the life of the party, but, well, a perception. You can't trust it. Now, it's not the first time I'd heard people say that I'd rubbed them a little bit the wrong way. But you make excuses. You brush it off. You say, well, but that person, there was something going on there. We just don't get along well, me and that other person. But with eyewitness testimony, yes, you can't trust it. But when you have enough witnesses who say that they've seen the same thing, you have to trust it. Because they all come from a different position. They're all looking from a different direction. And if they're all seeing the same thing, then you got to believe that they're seeing something there. And this wasn't just my sister. This was my sister telling me what had been directly said to her from all the people who had been witnessing this event from all their different directions. And they said, is your brother really always such an asshole? And then you have to think again, well, wait a second. These are people asking me to change who I am for their convenience, for their benefit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. This is my life. This has been, I at least you have to be honest and admit that this is what people are seeing. And I had to think about, well, I don't want to change who I am for other people, but when I think about it, the person that they saw is the person I have to spend every moment of my life with. Do I want to be with that person? I really didn't want to. And it's not easy because you have to change who you are. And who I was an asshole. Who I am now, I can't tell you. That's for you because you're the witnesses. But I'm trying not to be an asshole. I'm doing my best and, I still blow it. But I'm giving it a shot. And that's all I have. Thank you.